Hello, welcome to the Executives Association of Greater Phoenix podcast, where we like to highlight a few of our businesses that are in our group, but it's mostly about the business, not about our group. So we want to start pretty quickly here. Just give us let's start with the ladies first, obviously. Marilee, could you explain a little bit, tell us your name, tell us about your business just quickly, and then we'll kind of go around robin here in a little bit.
Yeah, you bet. Hi, I'm Marilee Hickson with Arizona Organized Solutions. I am a professional organizer, and I've owned my business for just over 10 years. And we work in the greater Phoenix area, well, clear down to Queen Creek and up to northern Phoenix, and maybe into Glendale, but certainly East Mesa as well, Southeast Mesa. We do everything from purging, helping clients who have just got too much stuff, we feel stopped and cluttered in our lives, and we just don't know where to begin. Sometimes our homes are actually really clean, but maybe our master closets or maybe our kitchens are not set up in a way that we can get to everything right when we need to. So our job is to come in and help remove clutter. We do the purging process, and then we have clear 55-gallon bags for donate, black 55-gallon bags for trash. And then once we go through that purging process and get rid of all the things that we're no longer using, don't fit us anymore, we just aren't serving us the purpose that it used to, we let go of those things, and then the client can go and rest, go to lunch, take a nap, whatever, and then we professionally organize it, make it look beautiful. Everything's contained and labeled, and it looks perfect. Systems are set into place, and it's wonderful.
Awesome. Marnie?
Good morning. I'm Marnie Prince. I own Junk King. We're a full-service junk removal company. We help you get rid of things you no longer need or want. So we work, often with individuals like Marilee. Once she determines what is useful and what is not, we can haul it all away. Junk King prides itself on being one of the greenest junk removal companies. We like to donate and recycle about 60 to 65% of everything we pick up. So we try to keep things out of the landfill. We try to be available when you need us. So we're open 7 days a week, 7 to 7 days a week for same day, next day appointments. So if you get the need or the urge, or Marilee shows up and she determines you don't need those things anymore, not a problem. Give us a call. We'll be there that afternoon, and we'll just get it taken care of.
Right. And from one of these things is not like the other. These guys have similar business. Now we go to Mike, who's in the insurance business. Give us a little bit about your business and what your specialty is.
Good morning. I'm Mike Sullivan, Pinnacle Peak Insurance Group. We specialize in home and auto, commercial business insurance, and everything in between. If you have it, we insure it. We're located in North Scottsdale. We've been around about the last 15 years. We carry a majority of pretty much almost every insurance company in town that is non-captive, which means the captive ones, they have one line of business that they sell, where we have multiple lines. And so our biggest grace of what we have for our clients is, first of all, we answer the phone. If you don't get an answer right away, you'll get a phone call back. We're same-day service on pretty much everything. The biggest benefit that you have with us is your renewal comes out, which is the biggest pain for everybody right now. The source of pain is the rates are going up. We see your renewal go up, we automatically reshop you, because we have the companies and the ability to do that. And so we retain, over a 5-year period in our management system, we have about a 98% retention rate because of our service for our clients. So that's just on the home and auto side, plus the business side. We specialize in, if you see it, we insure it. That's
Great.
who we are.
That's pretty simple. Okay, let's start with Marilee. Let me ask you a question. How did you get into this business?
From the time I was a child, I was drawn to just kind of reconfiguring, setting up systems even in my bedroom, or with my sister we would do it, just move our furniture around and create new systems to make things work better, work more efficiently. And I'm actually a productivity specialist, so that's what we as professional organizers do. Is our job is to help you become more productive in your environment, whether it's in your home environment or we do commercial as well. So I do law offices and Mesa Public Library administrative offices, commercial as well. So we want to make sure that wherever you're at, you are as productive as you can possibly be, meaning you don't want to have to walk very far or bend over, turn around to get to what you need. It needs to be right, using up the most valuable real estate in that zone that you're at, whether it's the playroom or the craft room or whatever it is, the garage. We want everything to be very linear, very beautiful, very contained and labeled and organized for you so that you can be as clear thinking, as productive, and feel as much peace in your space as you possibly can. So we also do pack and move. So if you're moving, we come in and help you declutter, get rid of all the stuff you don't want to take to the next house, that you've just been carrying, even mom's things, grandma's things that just are not bringing us joy. We love, but we're not using. We let those, we have certain lingo to help you make the decision on whether or not it's what you want to bring. Or I might be watching for body language during our purging process that helps me be able to use the right lingo to help you make the decision. You know what? I love this, but I'm not using it. And then I'll say, maybe this is memorabilia. Yes, memorabilia, that's what it is. Okay, let's contain it in a clear container. We'll label it memorabilia. It will go up maybe in the top of a closet or something where we can get to it if we want to, but it's not taking up valuable real estate. So those things are the types of things we help, or it might be an action item. It might be whatever it is. We're separating it into categories to help the client understand what that is actually needing to be zoned as, and then we create systems around that. So we do the full purge before the move, and then we pack, and then we have the movers come in and move it, and then we do a full unpack as well. So the client doesn't even need to necessarily be there. I've been in thousands of homes, so I know once we've done the purge, I get to know you and your stuff and your family, so we can do your unpack and have everything professionally done, unpacked, flowers on the table, done in a day or two, maybe 3, however big the home is or however much space there is. And then you get on with your life, being productive, and at least you don't have to go and find things and wonder, oh, it's in that box, and nope, it's all done. So it's really awesome.
There seems like this is some type of psychology program too. I love watching those hoarder shows while I do like computer work, just because I'm shocked. My wife's like, I don't know why you watch that, but they always have somebody come over and they kind of try to explain to people why they need to get rid of the rats in their house. And I'm always been fascinated on how you can have that discussion without just taping the person to the chair and then having a bulldozer go right through the house and say, hey, there's your mess taken care of. So do you run into those problems too?
We do a lot of hoarding, or we call those with hoarding tendencies. And it's one of my favorite, because we get a lot of those that we'll call and they're really devastated and embarrassed, and there's no judgment. When we come in, there is love and understanding. Everyone's got a different life and their journey is different, and we have to go in with a lot of love. We are not like the hoarder show. There's a lot of, again, show in that show, but in our world, it's real life, and we are really in there to help. If we were to go in and just take things, that's actually a little bit of abusive to our clients. We would never go in that way. When we go in, there is a lot of psychology, and there is certain verbiage that we use so that the client makes the decision on their own. We're not saying, you don't need this, think this through. Now, there are a lot of times where we know that, but we won't say it that way. So they'll actually be the one to say, I have 5 crock pots. I don't need 5 crock pots. Probably not. Should we keep our favorite one? What are we using them for? Okay, maybe one large and one small, and then let's let someone else enjoy it. And
What happens if I break one today, though? That'll be what. Is that what you hear? 'Cause
Well,
now I only have 4.
and unfortunately, this is the zone that it can live in, so we only have room for one large and one small. So we probably should pick our favorite two. So there's once they see that this is where things live, and we don't want anything to live on the floor, that's where it gets dirty. So it's going to live up. Everything goes vertical. Nothing lives on the floor or on flat spaces. So we want to be able to keep everything living with their friends, like with like. So crock pots live with small appliances, electrical appliances. They don't live with paperwork. So when they understand the zones and why things live with with their friends, like with like, people tend to want it to be that way. They understand the concept. Stuff doesn't make us feel safe. Sometimes, a lot of times, people think their stuff helps them feel safe, and that's not necessarily what's happening. There's other things that are happening in their life that are causing them to not feel safe. So when they feel safe and in control and liberated, they feel in control of their stuff rather than their stuff controlling them. So there is a lot of psychology, like you said, Mike, and it's really fascinating and it's wonderful. Lots of tears before we start, and lots of tears when we're done. Hugs, tears of joy, because people feel like they've got their lives back.
This sounds just like the Hallmark Channel.
It's awesome.
Everybody's so happy,
So happy.
Did they? Yeah, my version would be we'd duct tape you to one of those chairs, and then we would just force you to throw stuff out.
And there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot, and I have to watch for that. So as I see my clients feeling anxiety, we have to kind of calm down, maybe take a break for a minute, and then pull back in. But when I see that they're having some anxiety, then I just say, hey, why don't you go walk around? Let's take a break, because I've got a lot of work to do. I've got a big mess that we've now pulled out. We've categorized, everything, now I can be starting to contain and label while they're taking a break, whatever. And then we pull back in, start again. And sometimes we have to take, a couple days to do it, but it's sometimes, but it's fantastic. The before and after pictures are amazing.
So how do you price the service? I mean, how does that kind of work? Is it by an hourly or?
Yeah, so I charge by the hour because we just don't know how much stuff. Everyone's got a different amount of stuff, different amount of clutter is what I call it. So, and some people will take longer to make decisions. Some people, it's really, really hard for them to let go of their things. Other people are like, I'm done, I'm over it, let it go. So but that purging process is so important, because that's where I'm watching body language. I'm hearing what they're saying, like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen that in years, or that reminds me of my husband, my late husband, and we have to go through the process, of feeling and letting them feel, and then say, do you know what? I can take a picture of that, and then I can let it go, or whatever the case may be. So because of that and the different amount of clutter, like I say, we do charge by the hour. It is, and then I actually have a trailer, so I can take some donation and some garbage away. If it's excess, then I call Marnie and I say, you know what, but Patty at Pro Shred, with EAGP, she does all of our shredding. So I use people in EAGP all the time for, all the things that we need to make sure that our clients, whether it's real estate or moving or whatever the case may be, we have a full package that we can use so that we can, just make sure our clients have the very best care.
So this is a good segue to Marnie's business. So Marnie's got the muscle guys that come in and they're probably more in the mood to let's get this place cleaned up like right now. So they're not really they're not doing a psychological profile.
No.
So tell us a little bit about your business and how did you get into it? I know you're a Canuck, so you can explain that too.
Yeah, that's right. Born and raised in Canada. Spent about 10 years in the banking industry, and then decided.
Sorry about that.
I know. But then decided I needed a change. Had the opportunity to work with a junk hauling company in California. Bought my first junk hauling company in Oregon. with a couple of partners, ended up, excuse me, ended up parting our separate ways there, and then looked for another place. And I thought, well, lots of people retire to Arizona, so maybe I should just start working in Arizona. Then I didn't need to retire here. I could just continue the excitement. So yeah, that's kind of what brought me here. As far as junk hauling, we're not really too concerned with the psychology part. My guys come in, and you're right, they are the muscle. It's like getting or ordering a dumpster, but also getting the two guys to fill it for you. So we're really the easy button. Marilee comes in and decides what needs to go. Sometimes, our customers don't have somebody that comes in, but they just realize, hey, this hot tub is broken. We don't need it in our backyard anymore, or we don't use it. My guys can come in, cut that up, take it out. Something as small as a refrigerator or a dishwasher is broken and it's sitting in your backyard. Everybody's got that place in their house in which it's like, oh, we just shove it beside the house, between the two houses, by the fence, behind the door.
That's the invention of HOA came into reality after that started.
Absolutely. And so everybody's got a place in which they put things that they're not needing or not using. And they start to grow after a little bit of time. Maybe it's a few boxes from Amazon. Maybe it's a bike that the kids grew out of. Maybe it's a refrigerator that you went on vacation and then it died or the power went out. Now it's got a bunch of rotten food in it. Those are all sorts of things that we can get rid of.
And then how do you go about pricing your services too?
Yeah, our services are based on the amount of space items take up in the back of our truck. Our trucks are about 18 cubic yards, and you only pay for the space that your items take up. So our guys come out, they give you a free, no obligation estimate, look at the items, and determine how much space it'll take up. It starts around $100 for a single item. That's two guys coming out, doing the lifting and loading, coming right into your home or business. We do a lot of work with businesses as well, getting rid of items. They come in, they take rid of the item, and that's all inclusive. So there's no extra cost to have it dumped or recycled or donated. It's all included.
And then so I would imagine, so what does the typical process go? Somebody calls and you come out and give them a bid, and then they would decide to schedule it. Is that kind of how it would work?
Well, we could do it right on site. So we're same day service. So same day service, like I was saying, 7 days a week, 7 to 7, 7 days a week. Really easy to remember. Give us a call in the morning. We'll be there in the afternoon. Call us in the afternoon. We can be there first thing in the morning. We can get there before you even have to go to work if you need. Guys will come out and take a look. If you're ready to go, they can remove the items right there. We come ready to work, ready to get the job done. Guys are excited all the time, happy, energetic, extraordinarily respectful. So sometimes we come into situations like Marilee, in which customers have lost a loved one. They are going through transition. Maybe they are embarrassed. They're in a situation in which something got away from them. Our guys are trained to understand and really respect that everybody has junk. And we've seen it before. So this isn't the first time. You're not the only one. And chances are it's not the worst.
That's interesting because I think my wife's got all my stuff packed up by the door. So when I croak, she could just call and just go it all in one swing.
Yeah, she's got it prepared and ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a very interesting business because I think most people deep down inside are like a hoarder at heart in some respects. They keep too many things. They have multiple things, stuff like that.
We were talking about this actually just this morning, that we're a consumer society. We like things. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But what starts to happen is we're also a society in which we have a lot of space. And so we can just put it over here for now. And our houses are designed in a position that we've got a spare bedroom. We've got that piece between the house and the garage. We've always got these little nooks and crannies that we tend to just put it over here. After a period of time, those items are no longer serving you, or you don't need them anymore. Maybe they don't even represent who you are as a person anymore. If we can kind of think how we all kind of progress and redefine who we are. I was an athlete. I was a runner at one time. I did triathlons. I did, all of these things. I'm not currently doing them. I'm holding on to some of those things thinking like, I'm going to do it again, right? Well, wait a minute. Those shoes don't fit. Those clothes don't fit. Maybe the bike or the equipment isn't the right thing anymore. We've updated those things, but we hold on to them because we're holding on to somebody, we were really excited to be, or a memory of a really awesome time. And so it just starts to kind of progress. So I hear it all the time. We do home shows. I talk to people. They ask me what I do. And the first thing that comes out of people's mouth is like, oh, I have no junk. I was like, it's okay. Everybody has it. It's okay. And then I'm like, I give them my card and I just say, yeah, but you don't, like, you will. You're going to have something. And we don't all have the ability to get rid of it. We all don't have the time and energy to get rid of it. To be honest, I would rather spend my Saturday afternoon hanging out with my kids, maybe enjoying a spa day with a good friend, catching up and having lunch with a loved one, instead of going through my closet, getting rid of the things I no longer need, and then taking it to a donation center. Because we want it to go to somebody good. We want it still has great use, but we just don't have the time and energy to do it.
You know what I've noticed is we're in a different day and age also because of the Hoarder Show, because of some of these shows that have been on. I think people are more aware that how easy our stuff can creep in and can, just even, like, I was just even working on my office last night, and I was telling my husband, boy, we've accumulated a lot of stuff in our office, and I'm grateful for that, because I do think that people are realizing less is more. And I think people are becoming more aware of the fact that, you know what, we don't need all of this stuff. And there are a lot of people who do need things that we can let them have, the joy, use the joy. But we want to be careful that our homes and our offices don't become a place of clutter, so that we can enjoy life and not be so overwhelmed. So I think we're in a good place where, people like Junk King and Arizona Organized Solutions can help with, let's get that stuff out.
It's probably the part of the business that I love the most. Whenever, we were saying earlier, like, why did you get into this? It's a helping business. And sometimes people say, how do you go from like banking to junk removal? Well, it's actually not that much different.
No, it isn't.
Because it's true. I mean, but it is.
Because the people at the bank are generally pretty junky.
But it's helping people, really. In banking, we're helping people with their finances. They had a goal to send kids to university, buy a home, get a car, whatever that might be, saving or investing or getting loans, that sort of thing. In the junk removal industry, we're helping people get rid of things they no longer need or want. We do the things that people cannot do or don't want to do. It's that simple. At the end of the day, we talk to my guys and I'm like, hey, listen, one of our core values is to have fun. We talk about that every morning. Hey guys, be safe out there and have a good day. Have fun. They show up, they're ready to go. They're ready to do the thing that you've been putting off for like a year. Oh my gosh, this clutter has been in the garage. I haven't seen my car in the garage for like a year or two. I've been putting this off. Literally, they call us. Our before and after pictures are amazing. You'll see that, and people are like, I can't believe that we didn't call sooner. Like, it only took 2 minutes to call or book online. We showed up in 90 minutes from the phone call. We were gone in 2 hours, and I have the rest of my day to go golf, have lunch with friends, do all of these other things. It's like, what was I waiting for? And then the customers become like repeat, right? And then it's like, oh, I wish I had more stuff, because it felt so good. Like, and then it's like almost like I wish I had more items to get rid of, because that feeling is like, it's like a release. Right now, I don't have to worry about it anymore. We have people who call us to take away their Amazon shopping boxes. That's the way we consume goods now. Well, where does all that go? Oh, I didn't get it into
When the neighbor's garbage.
Well, yeah, there's always a
fill
can
his
across
up
the
instead of
street.
yours.
That's right. And we make sure it's disposed of properly. So that's the other thing, is the recycling and donating part of our business is really important. Make sure that it's not dumped out in the middle of the, desert, or and it's taken to the right place and taken care of. That's all included in
So
our
the
price.
dropping it off at Walmart's parking lots?
In the back by the dumpster, does it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Does it
That was
count?
my old way of getting rid of
Like
stuff.
pallets,
Yeah,
especially pallets.
Those stupid cameras, Yeah.
Marnie, do you guys take hazardous material?
That's one thing we don't do.
Okay.
So no hazardous waste, no wet paints, no chemicals, car batteries, propane tanks, anything that's determined hazardous by the Department of Transportation. Now, we know where to take these items. We just don't have the license or insurance to
You have a nice
transport.
little plaque.
We don't have one of those on the back of our truck. So we don't have the license or insurance to
Okay.
transport those
But
items.
as like Marnie knows, and I know as well, we do know where to take those. So
Absolutely.
if any of the listeners have questions about that, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah, we can. It's actually in each of your cities. There is a hazardous waste
Collection.
place, and so you know, you can actually look that up.
So pro tip, this is like a really, this is like insider knowledge here, guys. So I'm going to share something on the down low here. Kitty litter is your best friend.
Yes. Yep.
So if you have paint or liquids that you no longer need or want, once they're in the solid form, we can take them.
Yeah.
So buy a bag of kitty litter, throw it in the bucket if you know we're coming. All of a sudden that paint is now no longer liquid,
Yeah.
and we can transport it.
Yes.
Or you go across the street to your
It's-
neighbor's trash, like I do. I fill it
I
up.
wouldn't say that.
And then I'd call them in and go, hey, that guy's throwing out these hazardous chemicals. Well, so now we've got our house cleaned up. So, I mean, let's be fair. You know this. I mean, I've known insurance people for years, but it's pretty close to going to the proctologist or a lawyer or dentist appointment.
My husband says the world revolves around insurance.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you got into insurance, and then what makes you different? I mean, everybody here knows insurance. These services are most people are just kind of finding out about it, but yours has been around since BC. So
Yeah, everybody needs stuff insured.
exactly.
So long story short, the great crash of 2008, I was actually a contractor and a realtor. So flipping 2 or 3 homes a month. And Lehman Brothers crashed and the market went with it. So then it left me someone's roommate. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? And I'm like, insurance makes sense because a lot of people expect customer service to be crappy now. That's just the norm of what it is. And I looked at the time that I was insured. And they were like, oh, I'll get back with you in 2 or 3 days with that quote on the new car that you want to buy. I'm like, no, I want to buy it now. Right? So that was just the norm, and that was just what was accepted. And then a lot of people are order takers. They don't know what the coverages are that they're throwing on the vehicles. And we see it when we get people's declaration pages all day long. We're like, do you even realize what you have for coverage? I'm like, you have half of what you think you have. So that's the beginning of what got us in, and what makes us so different is we sell, obviously, insurance, but we also sell coverages. We're not a paper pusher of like, hey, we got you the best rate. We got you this, and this is what coverage you have, and this is why you should have these coverages. Because we see it all day long. The number one coverage that we see shorted on people, especially the amount of people that we have driving in the valley that are uninsured or underinsured with minimum limits, is we've already had probably about $400,000 in premium paid out this year with people getting hit by people underinsured, where they now go to their insurance. Thankfully, we had that coverage on there for them, where now they go to their bodily injury limits on theirs for the underinsured or underinsured portion. And so those are just big things that make us different in that. I'd mentioned earlier our customer service. You call us, we answer the phone. Like we are a do it now, because we're also in a do it now society, because if we don't do it now, someone else will. Mm-hmm. And so we're just very quick with what we do. We're very professional. The customer is our business. So if we're not serving them the right way, then we're losing them. And as they always say, a bird in hand is better than 2 in the bush. So it's better to keep what you have than go out trying to find more. So keep what you have going. But then, like I said earlier, with all the companies that we have, it just makes we're just ultra competitive. And typically if we lose a client to someone else, is because they undercut our coverages. Because we don't know what they got. They're like, hey, we got a better rate. I'm like, well, there's a reason typically you got a better rate.
So you don't have to keep saying to the AI phone answer, customer service, as you go through all these 5,000 menus, and then you get Johnny at the front desk who just started, and then he hangs up on you, which is always one of my favorite things. I like to start all over again.
A lot of people use virtual assistants, and we do not. We're actually fully staffed. And as the business has grown, I've staffed it as we've grown just for that purpose. Because once you get up to this point and you don't have the base solid under you, then it just starts to crumble back down.
Right.
And so my thing was, I'm very adamant on the people. I listen to the people. I correct the people in my office because they make the things happen with the customers, with how they interact with them. And customer service is my number one key. And I thrive. I mean, we grow, and it's all referral. It's Egypt's. Everybody in the group's phenomenal. We get just
Not everybody.
well, I mean, there's
talk about that on
there's some
another-
riffraff that we don't need to talk about yet, but it's just, but yeah, it's we do such a great job that the referrals just keep coming. And
So what would you say right now? I mean, people they had their insurance for years. It was just like a blind payment all the time, and then all of a sudden, the last couple of years, costs have skyrocketed. And now, I mean, people are moving insurance companies like every year. I mean, it's just a matter of fact. So how do you manage that? Because that's a lot more work, because it would have been great if your premium went up like a couple $100 a year. People are like, no big deal. But when it goes up $5,000, now they got to do something. So how does that work?
well, let's put it the way, all my staff is burnt out, and we're
Right.
slowly recovering from last year. We grew 43% last year because of the amount of people that went into the market, people that sat with State Farm, farmers, whoever they sat with for 20, 30 years. All of a sudden, they were like, oh my gosh. So then we had all that. Plus, we already had a few thousand clients on the book that they're seeing 30, 40, 50% rate increases. And so then we're reshopping all that on top of that. And so our workload quadrupled for the last 12 months. And how did we handle it? Just did. And because again, if we didn't reshop them and get them a better rate, then they were somewhere else. So it was better to keep them and do the extra work on top of what was coming in. So yeah, it was chaotic.
And you've probably noticed, because I noticed this, is for some reason I watch commercials. So there's not as, the good hands people aren't doing this anymore, because the hands went like this. And they just crushed everything.
Yep.
And then the other one is, State Farm, all the stuff that they had for years. And they're not even in California most anymore, right?
They are very, California's a little different animal with the rate increases. Obviously, you have to be able to rate as an insurance company with what the exposure is. And California hadn't allowed it. If you saw, they just recently allowed them to bump up home rates after this big loss out there. I'm not going to knock insurance companies, but I'm not a fan of captive. And it's interesting because a lot of the captives are now starting to creep over to independents like us, like Geico, for example. I just got Geico insurance, right? They've been captive. Nobody's been able to touch them but their agents. Now I just got them. Allstate, they bought up a lot of companies that we have now, but people don't realize, it's Allstate. So American Family's done the same thing. Farmers, I have a bunch of their insurance companies. So a lot of these,
Do they have them under separate names too?
yes,
usually?
they're all
Okay.
separate, so that they're not carrying the logo of like, hey, I'm an Allstate agent.
Right.
But they had actually, I did have one in their companies for a while that was labeled Allstate, and they just weren't competitive with us, right? Because they just kind of shop a little bit different. But long story short, they're finding the independent channel like myself to be more lucrative financially.
So, I mean, it's when you talk about insurance going up and the pricing going up, it's always like they raise it up, everybody screams and yells, and then they get used to it. So it almost never goes back down.
No.
So, I mean, what's the stabilizing factor that's going to stop? Like I just heard one of my friends of mine up north got a policy renewal for 10 times what he had the year before. So, I mean, how do you combat that? Or what's something the homeowner can do or the buyer, your customer, can do to be more prepared for, that shock of when it comes through?
Interesting enough, there's companies that kind of say, hey, I'm going to dabble in that market and I'm going to start taking a risk that nobody else is willing to take until they get burnt. So there's always someone that kind of comes into the market for a bit and they're like, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I've seen it I've been in the business 15 years and I've seen multiple companies come and go out of the market. And what they do is they come in, undercut everything, and they take risks higher than everybody else is willing to. And the reason they won't take that risk is it's not a good risk. But you'll get a company that'll come in and they'll be like, hey, we want to grow our book. And so then they come in aggressively low. And once the underwriting losses catch up to them, then they adjust. So in regards to like the mountains, you'll find someone that gets more competitive. I mean, there's a couple of companies that I have now that if you're in the high wildfire, the forest fires, that I can get you. It's so far it's been less than what whoever you may have already had. So there is a couple different options, but the stability in the wildfire, especially with the fire going on right now in Greer, that's going to put a whole nother big brakes on things. But again, long story short, is people come into the market and they get a little aggressive for a while and they'll buy it. You just have to be that guy or gal that I'm always looking for a new company, right? If someone comes in the market, I have to get them on the forefront, because if not, I lose a lot of my clients to that company because they're out there buying the market. One of the great companies I have right now is Cincinnati Insurance. I just picked them up in September, but they're writing. They're not trying to grow their book off of greed. They're actually underwriting their risk accordingly, and they've been growing about 15% a year, and their underwriting losses are low. And so I've been moving a lot of clientele to them. And the great thing, what happens when you find a company like that, in 12 months, it's not going to skyrocket. They're not going to double your rates. So there's things that you learn in the business. You're like, hey, I can put you over here, but in 12 months, you're going to go like this, where I can put you over here, and they're financially stable. So so many variables come into play with different companies. But you as a consumer won't ever hear or see that, because who wants to talk about insurance?
Nobody.
There you go.
Yeah. The second thing, if you want to clear a theater, is yell insurance instead of fire. Everybody runs out.
Oh my God.
And they're always the best people at the networking event. They're the ones you go, that guy works insurance, and they're like, okay, I got to make a note.
Yeah.
The other thing is that, when people used to buy, mortgages and stuff like that, that thing was kind of an afterthought, because the premium wasn't that big. It was maybe $50, $60 a month or whatever.
And that's exactly what it was.
Now it's becoming, your payment's going to be $3,000, but it might be $3,500 if you're getting insurance.
The standard premium's $200 to $300 a month on a home. Standard.
And you got to start factoring that into your cost, because you don't want to get surprised all of a sudden if you're running a budget.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. Literally, when I started, we could write a brand new home policy. We could write for $300.
Yeah.
And now that exact same home policy, because insurance companies look at a brand new home as a lower risk. And so they're like, okay, then we'll be a little cheaper on it. And so now, if I get lucky, I might get $800 to $1,000 on the same home. 5 years ago, I was writing for $300.
Okay.
And then obviously the high risk homes, it's not abnormal for me to write a $5,000 to $15,000 policy on a home now.
Well, for our 5 or 6 listeners we probably have,
well, it just went to 4,
including this people. I say, somebody like that. If my mom was still alive, she'd probably be one of them. But right now in your personal business, what's the biggest challenge for you in the next 12 months?
Honestly, finding employees to work under the standards that I have, because I can get the business. It's just not getting the business and writing bad business because my people don't know what they do. That is my biggest struggle right now. Okay. And that's, I think, generally across the board is employment issues. Because
you're speaking of the choir.
There you go. Yeah. But no, the business is out there. And back to customer service, sadly, people are used to just having mediocre service. Yeah. And they're like, I'm okay with that. But no, that's not how we function. And so that I don't have a lot of struggle outside of that. It's just keeping staff at the level of customer service that I want to keep.
It's like what I say about banks and credit unions. Credit unions is the same crappy service as a regular bank, but it's cheaper. I think that's what they should run.
That's a really solid point.
Yeah, just tell them exactly what's wrong.
We're just a cheaper, crappier service.
And then you're going to expect it. So then you'll be like, I'm not paying as much. So it's a great idea.
It's interesting. All these banks too. Speaking of banking, they're all throwing insurance agents in there now.
Yeah, because they're trying to double dip,
Yes.
obviously. Which in banks, when they buy investment companies and all this type of stuff, they almost always mismanage them.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like the IRS, kind of like.
If you're out there in banking, I'm not a big fan, and I could go on and on for 2 hours, but we won't bore you with that today. Same question to you, Marilee. What's your biggest challenge for 12 months
My biggest challenge
for your business?
for my business in general, you're talking about?
Yep.
Probably right now I've got a crew of there. I've got 6 employees, and we are, I guess I'm wanting to, make sure that I can get enough. I'd like to make sure we have 2 crews every day going out, and I just want to make sure that we're available for as many jobs as we possibly can per day. But every one of my customers are so important to us, so I generally am scheduling one job a day, and that way I can really focus on that job. But people are wanting to have us double booked, and so I want to make sure that I can give the quality care that we want to get. So I'm spread out for a longer period of time, but I'd like to be able to schedule 2 jobs per day. Our jobs take very focused, it's very focused. So I would say that's probably my biggest, is trying to figure out a way to, get enough organizers that work for me that we can do 2 jobs per day.
Awesome.
But right now my jobs are just I can get six of us on a job or 2 of us on a job or whatever, but I want to make sure that my clients are very, very well taken care of. So just having enough organizers to work the jobs and do a good job.
I'm afraid to ask you that because I actually know what you're going to say. I mean, because trying to help find people that can, 1, show up, and 2, show up the next day.
Yeah.
So,
I think this is like this is a common theme among EAGP members, is our desire to provide a service at a level and quality that is, I think, normal, but is, as you say, not normal.
No.
I refuse to do business with individuals who don't provide great customer service. I've walked away from insurance people, realtors, brokers of all sorts, because they won't return my call, because they won't do the little things that are so important. And I would prefer to run a smaller, more focused, client-centric, focused business than run a big business and have a single employee who isn't falling in line. Yeah. Right? I will turn the business away. I will choose to do business elsewhere. I will pick and choose the individuals that we work with to ensure that every customer gets that royal treatment, is what we call it at John King. We treat our customers like royalty, and it's an expectation. People are the problem. That is my number one issue. First of all, being able to find them. Then making sure once we do find them that they are able to continue to provide the quality of service that I would provide, right? They're an extension of me. They're an extension of my name and my brand, and I won't settle to send it out. There's a saying in my business that says, if I wouldn't send you out to my grandmother's house, you can't work for me. So if you're not grandma approved, you're not Marnie approved, you can't work here. And that is a challenge. And I would prefer to grow slower. I would prefer to not do the business. I would prefer to say next week, that sort of thing, if we aren't. Currently, we're able to continue, to offer that same day service 7 days a week. But if the quality of service goes down, we will change that in relation to the market. Because the people they're the most important. They're the face of the business. They're an extension of me. They're an extension of my brand. They're, our reviews, all of those sorts of things. So yeah, the people.
Well, there's the part of the problem is you have this, like, there's a real entitlement for, you know, right now in Phoenix, the new minimum wage is $20 an hour.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
great.
is,
No kidding.
and that is, I will show up to your place, drink your coffee and breathe for $20.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anything else, we're going to have a discussion about.
yeah,
Yeah.
And it sounds bad, but it's just there's not enough people that are getting into work. They're not working in high school. It's one of the things I crack on my students in a class I teach about, you know, get a job. I don't care what it is, but get experience. I don't care if it's working with you as an intern or whatever it is. Go do something. Even if you're working at the grocery store.
yeah.
It shows you can go to a place, you know, oh, you went there a year. Wow, that's huge. I mean, right now your turn for employees is probably 1.25 to a year and a half. 2 years is probably the new 5 years. And so it just keeps getting lower and lower. And if you've got jobs that require labor that you can't have a robot do it, that becomes more of an issue too.
You know, I also feel like since COVID, people have decided that they don't really want to work as much. You know what I'm saying? It's everybody wants to work from home, and everybody wants it easy, and everybody. But we've got to get back into. I mean, and I think we're starting to. I think we're, you know, but to have people who are wanting to be the very best they can be out in the community and helping others. It's important, you know, and for like you know, for insurance, you know, it's the same thing. Why are we showing up to work? What is our purpose? And are we really out to serve and help our community and to show up for the people that we work for, and shine? And that is, I think, it's important. So and I have a lot of people who will see my truck and they'll be like, do you need anyone to work for you? I'd love to. Either I get, you're a professional organizer. Oh my gosh, I need you in my life. Or you're a professional organizer. Do you do hoarding? Or you're a professional organizer. How can I work for you? How can I, you know? And those are the types of people that you want. You're in insurance. I want to know more about that. How can I do that? What, you know, you run a business. How can I be on your team? This is something I love. I love lifting and carrying. You know, you want people who want to work and want to do the work, you know, and they're gems to find them.
Mm-hmm.
What about, have you had any scary employment stuff at all in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I usually find it after the fact. Fortunately, it hasn't created any issues, right? Because there's only so much I can look at when I have someone working. And then, like, I'll have a licensed agent, and then something will come up, and then I'll go through the policy. I'm like, oh, my goodness, this is missing or that's missing, right? Mm-hmm. So fortunately, we've been pretty thorough on what we do, that nothing's come of it. But overall, it's just people not being thorough. It's really, and it's interesting where people, how they're trained, right? Because a couple of these people they came from captive agencies. So they were taught, we do it this way and we sell a product. They don't know what the coverages are. That's when I talk about paper pushers, right? So I've had a couple people, I won't hire someone from a captive agency anymore because they are about selling the price, not the product.
Yeah, it's interesting. The other thing is people, you know, my dad had this thing that he used to say that I always laugh about is, you know, there's a reason why they call it work and not fun. Because you can't have fun all the time, but you work and then you have fun and then you go to work. It's not like we're having this menagerie at work every day where everybody does yoga and we sip coffee and all this other stuff. And there's this mix up with a lot of the younger folks that think that this is the way everything's supposed to be. The COVID thing, I want to work from home. One of the things I use with people is I go, listen, the greatest thing about remote work is you're easier to fire because I don't know who you are, I don't see you, and when I don't need anybody, he's sitting here, you're over at your house. I'm like,
You're speaking of.
yeah. So I mean, you're a lot easier because there's just no interaction, so it makes it just so much easier. And I don't think people really realize that. And these jobs, I mean, you could probably do remote for you, but you two, no.
No.
I mean,
No.
it's not a remote position.
You know, my favorite saying with that, because I've had 4 people that I've cut their pay, so they quit, but they right off the bat, hey, can I work from home? My back hurts. I'm sick. Can I work from home today? I'm like, you can't even work in the office. Why am I going to let you work at home? Because first of all, I can't monitor you. I don't have systems set up to monitor you. But then what you're doing in the office, you're not even thorough. But it's interesting. Every single person I've hired, I call it my rotating desk that I'm ready to burn, because it just is a revolving door of these people. They're like, oh, I'm sick. I constantly get that, oh, I'm sick. Oh, can I work from home? So yes, that's what.
Well, they're still on the COVID excuse, because that was a great excuse for everyone.
They are, but we're not even talking about 20-year-olds. We're talking about 40-year-olds. I mean, at all level, I'm dealing with these people. They're like, hey, can I work from home? I'm like, maybe in 2 years, I might give you, rotate it a little bit, but no. So yes, it is a pandemic problem still.
I think it's a little bit of a culture thing as well. There's this thought, there's a reason it's called work. I say that to my teams all the time. But there's like this, I call it like the influencer influence, is that, everybody out there wants to be an influencer, right? Mm-hmm. And I started to see this. I worked with junior achievers for many years, and I would go into this high schools and find out what kids wanted to be when they grew up, and what's the trajectory, and you need to go to school, and what kind of education, and we would like dive into this. And about 10 years ago, I started to hear this, I'm going to be a YouTuber. And it started, and so there's this perception that these, and they're not. My children even did this to me, and I was like, "What are you guys going to be?" As they're getting to grade 12, and what are you going to do? Well, whatever. And one of my daughters said to me, "I'm going to be an influencer." I said, "First of all, what do you know that I want to know? Because that's how you're going to influence me. You have some specific knowledge or some interest or an uncanny way to make me laugh if you're a comedian or a daredevil that will keep me captivated. What is it that you do that you don't, that will captivate me, that will influence me to watch you?" And she said, and I said, "And when was the last time you made a video?" And she posted, and she was like, "Well, you have to start somewhere, right? You have to start with 3." And I get it. You start with 3 people, but there's this idea that that's going to be easy. That's a lot of work. Any of these, influencers, like they miss that point. What they see is put videos on TV or YouTube or Instagram, TikTok, whatever, become a millionaire. They forgot about everything in the center. All of the work, the hours, the editing, the how to figure it out, the grit. That's what I think is the talent. It's the grit. It's the getting up at 4 a.m. this morning to drive to Phoenix to make sure I was at our meeting, had 2 conversations with some people on the East Coast, finding out how long we're here, making sure that I'm lined up for 5 other things to ensure that we have the scheduled pickups for my staff, for all of those things. That's what it takes. Mm-hmm. It's the grit. And I think that I don't want to say it's our youth, because it's our 40-something-year-olds as well. It's our 50-year-olds. It's society as a whole sees you put out a few videos, you become a millionaire. And there is a lot in between that.
Yeah, it's not that easy.
There's a lot in between that. And I think that's what, the employees that I see. And I say, I've had even my guys that have been with me, I've been very lucky. I have a really good core group of employees that have kind of continued to hold my business together. It's that revolving desk, the extra people that you continue to bring in. And that's why I can continue to provide amazing customer service. But I put a lot of energy into them. I put a lot of, nurturing into them. And sometimes they'll say to me, "Marnie, what else can I do?" And I said, you have to just keep doing it. You have to put in the grit now. It's like Michael Jordan knows how to play basketball. I know how to play basketball. I'm no Michael Jordan. Why? I didn't put the hours in. I didn't throw free throws for, days and days and days. That's the grit. And people don't want that. They want the instant gratification. They want the pill. I got the job. I put out a video. Where are my watchers, my listeners? No. You have to do the video. You have to do the video. Or, you have to pick up the junk. You have to talk to the client. You have to sweep up. You have to pick up the junk. You have to talk to the client. You have to sweep up. You have to, no. Now you just have to do the grit. I can't teach you the physics of the job or the mechanics of the job anymore. You've got that, right? Now you need to hone your craft. Now you need to put in that desire, that love, that passion. You need to make it your own.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the challenge, right? You say you want to have two teams. You want that person who you can teach them the ins and outs of the organizing. You can teach them the ins and outs of reviewing a policy, right? But you can't teach that desire to ensure it's right for the inevitable or the potential, right, of something to go wrong. For the day that they call and say, "Oh my gosh, this is what's happening," you can say, "I've got you covered." For the customer who cries or falls apart because we accidentally threw away a baby shoe or something, like I don't know what it is, right? Like whatever that eventual thing is, you've got to prepare for that. And I think that's what's missing.
I love
Got deep,
what I
sorry.
love about Egypt is that Egypt is a group of very successful business owners who have demonstrated that to me. That's what I love about Egypt is being among these elect. I mean, they're just a group of very hard-working people who've worked for decades to succeed and to bring along people to be successful in their industry. And so you've got all of these business owners who have their little following of group of people that work for them, and I think that it is phenomenal to be among this group
Of like-minded individuals.
Yes.
I know if I turn to any one of our Egypt members and I say, hey, I have a question, whether it's a lawyer in our group, insurance, a organizer, a paper shredder,
Yeah.
a glass guy, a recruiter, it doesn't matter what it is. I know those people have been through the grit,
Yeah.
right? They've
Hardworking
did that
people.
hard work.
Yeah.
And they're going to look after us. And they've got the expectation of phenomenal.
And they love work. They love the
Customer
work
service.
because it is, I think they love what they do. They love the success. I think we all love the success of our jobs and being able to see how we've blessed or benefited, helped other people, in the community. So it's fantastic.
Well, I'd love to get in that group. I don't know which one that is, but I go to this different group where there's some people that are a little, sketchy.
You bring us the recruitment, Mike.
No, that's my
That's what
problem.
you
I
do.
was going to say, can you find some
bring the
better,
good jobs.
members? Come on.
Yeah,
on
that's
then.
what. I don't want to get too many people.
He actually
in there.
recruited me.
I have a lot.
Well, he didn't recruit me, but
I
he let me
interviewed
in.
you, yeah.
He
You
said
did?
he's like, all right, I'll let this
I have
guy
a
in.
lot. I have a look. We were just talking about some of my coattails, including my son, but it all depends on. Let's see what kind of longevity we get. Do you? We've had a really good discussion. Do you want to finish it up with any comments or anything about what you? Tell us what sports team you like, or what do you got?
never got in that. Speaking of triathlons, I actually did. I did triathlons for 10 years, 7 Ironmans. I did them Germany, Canada, all over the U.S. That was my falling out of, because it was very much a world you could disconnect when the world was falling apart in 08.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when I started my business, I actually started my business working at doing the car dealerships. So I worked 7 days a week from 8 o'clock to midnight sometimes. And I did that for 4 years because my thing was if I did good service and I had the companies, people would come. And so I did that, and it was miserable. I mean, half the business I'd write it would be gone in 30, 60 days. They wouldn't pay their payments. But it was people that needed insurance to get off the lot, or they needed a better rate to afford the car. And that's how I got started. And so it was a haul. And people have no idea. Like the industry, they say about 5% of the people make it in my industry because you eat breadcrumbs for a long time.
And those are really yummy.
Yeah, they get old.
That's the grit. That's the grit.
Oh, it is a
Right?
grit.
And people see the dream and they see the success, but they don't see the grit.
No, the in between.
Yeah.
Everybody sees where you're at, not where you came from.
Yeah, they always see the finished product is what they think. I think, so this has been a great discussion. It's great to have you three here, but, we can't be talking all day.
No,
So,
I agreed with that.
thank you for being here. On behalf of Executives Association of Greater Phoenix, this is our podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
Mike.